Fine, we'll give you some numbers on it, and if it works for you, we'll take it. Good deal. This should be a good course for you.
How are you?
Hi.
I haven't seen you in a while.
You're right.
Yeah, I haven't been in. I've been stuck home with my kids. So.
Well, that's not so bad. I mean,
Yeah, so busy. How have you been? Right. Here, I'll sit back with you.
That's what we're trying to do.
And we basically just paint by numbers,
Is that-
find the houses. Here's what you can pay. Here's how
I
much
know.
it's gonna cost, this is what it's
Yeah,
selling
for sure.
Prompts are dialed.
Where were you after for here? Or were you anywhere?
And then you
Yeah, I
can
was
go
on
10
a
pages.
small outfit called DRM Engineer.
Okay.
It's one of those places that just setting the lessons.
Mhm,
Kind of help with the work.
Nothing else comes with it.
Right. Way better.
1031
As far as
changes
like
the
the
account.
engagement and the help.
Yeah, well, you get what you ask for, because in the beginning, all I asked for was like, hey, I just want to get my license somewhere so I can do my own thing.
Right.
And then after years of hating my job, I was like, man, I should have been focusing
Can I
on
say
learning how to be an agent.
From other people around me.
Yeah, so then I could have left my day job sooner.
Yeah.
But we live and learn. Nice to meet you. All those life lessons.
Oh, yeah. I know all about that.
Yeah. There you.
Life has a way of
Yeah.
teaching really good lessons.
Yeah.
Cool.
The hard way.
It's the same road.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But we do have, just be on the lookout there, there'll be some, supposed to talk to Tyler today, but it's getting up. But I did get one of those coming out, though. I hope there are agent specific.
Awesome.
So. I love that.
I know, I'm like, I gotta get on the ball and be here for
Just a little.
everything I can.
Yeah.
Be here for. But like anything that happens.
I think I just put that out. Have you followed up with any of those flyers for that?
Yeah,
We just fire something.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, and not that I would ever pass this on to anybody, but like, how come? There's a house that just sold there.
Well, they are basically like. They were gonna live in that. I think I told you.
Yeah.
And they put it on the market for like.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking like 8% out of the question.
Right.
Is it gonna stay there? I don't know.
Right.
But
Do they like, so they have their home on Mercer Island?
it's almost done.
Okay, so once it's done, they're probably not gonna have like a second place.
That's what they're saying.
What's the C?
No.
And the house is nice. I mean, the one thing that every single person that came in there, they were like, oh, we were wondering about the price, but once you get in here, it's huge.
Alright.
They just didn't realize how big it was.
Captain's chair? No, you're, okay.
So, part of me is like, making different marks. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe,
There are no offers and
yeah.
don't think about those over houses. Yeah.
All of us.
What I was thinking was to do with that in there. I gotta talk, I'm gonna talk to them. That's really what.
Yeah. And a broker.
Hey, how are you?
Good. A broker something.
So we're doing. Good.
Uh-oh. Technology's not my strong part. This is it, you got that?
Yeah.
Sorry guys, it's a little warm. We've been trying to get our landlord to fix our AC for 4 years. Typical landlord issues. But otherwise, we're getting going. What I like to do is I like to get everyone's kind of name, where they're from. So I like to get to know everybody. And then we'll get this presentation going as soon as we figure this out.
Yeah, I'll get it going.
Cool. Where are you from?
Seattle. My
Okay.
name's Jed. I am an agent with Windermere. Just looking to get into flips, supplement some income that way.
Cool.
Here to learn.
Nice. What office?
I'm in Bellevue East. I'm at David Eastern's office.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are you at David Easter's team?
No, not on his team. I'm in a new construction team, so we Buy land, build townhomes, single family, and sell them in the market.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great business.
Mhm.
Yeah, welcome.
I'm Ryan, Tacoma area. It's actually, contractor Gary Gustafson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm working with him on a couple projects and referred me and actually just did my first loan with Intrust.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so just got my license and also do property management as well.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah,
Nice.
and investor.
Gary's a great client.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's awesome. So he's doing the full flip.
he's getting after it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, it's been really cool to watch him.
Yeah.
Really turn it up.
he's a good dude.
Cool. Where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Boston. Like we stay in Boston. My name is Hima. Nice meeting you. I got to know about you through Lekha's Instagram page.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Lake is awesome.
I met Lekha. Yeah. So I got to know about this event. So I'm investing on my first investment property in Illinois because in Illinois
Okay.
the price is a little less there. But I want to start in Seattle. I want to like buy and hold rental properties here. Do the bird.
Cool.
So,
Well, once you
yeah,
go
and
metro, you're not going back to Indiana. The margins are bigger here. But
Yeah.
that's a good first step. It's just getting in.
Yeah. I'm here to learn and make friends. Yeah.
Cool.
To get to know people. Yeah.
Well, Lake is awesome. Did you go to her meetup group?
Yeah.
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 Cool. Nice.
I'm Vanessa. I'm from Renton. I heard you on a Bigger Pockets podcast and just looking to learn and get started. I don't have any experience yet, but hoping to learn and get there soon. So
Cool. Welcome.
thank you.
I'm Steen. This is my fiance. We both do medical sales right now. I'm just trying to get a side hustle, hopefully turn into our main hustle. Don't tell my manager that, but
When I was in college, that's where I was like, senior year of college, was like, I'm gonna get into medical device sales. And then I got to knock the doors. So, so you can make the transition. I never even got into that, but
Yeah.
that's good industry to be in. So, cool. Well, congrats on getting engaged.
thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm here to learn as well. I kind of want to get into like the designing, flipping, and retaining some investment properties. I already have one investment property, and I'm trying to build my portfolio.
Cool. Where's it at?
Linwood.
Nice.
Yeah, so up north.
Yeah, good market. And we're very, very strong.
Hey, hi, my name is Jerome. I'm from France. I'm an investor in France, but I've never invested here in the US.
You fly all the way here from France?
No. I live in Seattle. I work in tech. My whole life I work in tech. Just quit my job last year. Started learning about the real estate market in the US. I just started my wholesaling business literally last week. So I'm just starting calling people. I'm here to learn about how to do fix and flip here in Seattle.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we have a big wholesaler partnership program we're rolling out.
Yeah, Wednesday I've been invited.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to learn about you and the company through there's a funny story like Kwasi.
Yeah.
His wife works in the dental office that I go to.
Oh,
There
nice.
you go. That's how I connected the dots. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, actually, me and Quasi talked about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, you got to come in as your tooth was getting drilled out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She's
I
good
was-
at that.
Yeah.
We like to pitch people on sales jobs.
She was like-
when you're
Captive audience.
Yeah. That was she was super cool, and I just told her my story, and she was like, "Hey, that." So yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Well, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I love France, by the way.
From Paris area.
Oh, yeah, I was just out there with my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the coolest city in the world. Yeah.
I'm Owen. I live in Ballard. Currently invest out of state at the moment, but I'm looking to invest in state and do some flipping. So I figure that's a good step to take.
Yeah, Ballard's a good hotbed.
Yeah.
We got a lot of deals in Ballard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what street are you on?
67th
Okay.
Street. So
Yeah.
just right off 32nd.
It's good. It's a good lot.
Yeah, I'm CJ from the Tacoma area, in the military, but I'm also a agent and investor. Just looking to learn more and maybe get into flips this
Okay.
year as well.
Cool. What office you had?
With 5 Pillars,
Okay. Yeah. That's who owns that shop?
Shelby
Okay. Yeah.
Osborne, yeah.
I'm Brittany. I'm here by way of CJ. I don't have any properties, but looking to learn.
Cool. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then for everyone's brokers too, we actually have a lot of clients that are brokers.
Mhm.
So, because we just launched, a lot of what people's internal businesses, like if you're selling dirt, you want to stay focused on it. So that's what we're here to do is help,
Right.
facilitate the other stuff for you.
Mhm.
So, really, really common. Well, actually, a lot of our clients are brokers. They have like their own retail businesses going. And they just want to be taken care of, sorted out. So,
Max, that's for my other class.
Yeah, that's the wrong one.
Sorry,
Next
guys.
question. Your name?
Oh,
There
Mike.
we go.
Is everyone done?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
sorry, I'm playing
Well, Mike-
traffic, so I was coming down
Okay.
from Puyallup, so right next to Tacoma. So Mike Spencer, retired Air Force guy, turned Microsoft nerd. I've got 2 rentals and then 1 new build. Century Homes right down there in Puyallup Sunrise, where it's a lot more affordable than here in Bellevue. And my desire is to get my first 4-plex, so I heard James is gonna hook me up.
Yeah, we got you. It won't be in Bellevue because there's no deals in Bellevue, unfortunately. Yeah, Bellevue's like the worst market in cash flow, but it has other upside. So, yeah, I'm somehow buying a duplex. I just bought a duplex in Bellevue. And I picked up for $300,000 below market, and it's still negative cash flow $2,000 a month. It's just how it works in Bellevue, but it's all right. Well, cool. Well, welcome everybody for new experience. You guys. The point of this presentation, what we're going to do is take you through is just really how our company works and how we help investors. We're going to walk you through how we underwrite deals, our services that we offer, and then Intrust is going to come up and talk about financing. They're not mutually exclusive companies. You can use either or. We own both of them. But if you're looking to buy a property, Intrust money can fund you on anything. Doesn't matter if it's on market. Or Heaton Dainard, it's its own separate business. But they do work together in alignment, and so we're going to give you guys the rundown. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to kind of jump on because I have a tendency to talk long too. So, but before we get started, give you a quick background on the founding partners, myself and Will Heaton, my business partner. We've been business partners for 18 years. We started in the business together. We were out door knocking. We are old school real estate guys that started with a list of properties, banged on doors, wholesaled, then became flippers. Then when the market crashed, we had to restart everything. We really started flipping because there was a lot of people buying property at the time. And then from there, just by building out our brokerage and list of services, that's kind of how we founded all of our companies, was through 2008 through 2012, when it was really hard to do real estate and no one really wanted it. Like back in 2008, like you could have a house for $20 and people like, get that away from me. Like it was just a bad omen. And so we're going to go over what our services are, but we built everything on mitigating risk. That's how we got people to start buying again in 2009, 10, and 11. Because no matter what's going on in the market, if you have the right plan, you can revenue it and make money. And so kind of what our roles and responsibilities are is Will runs more Intrust funding. He does a lot of our development properties. And he is more on the back end. So he does our development, our syndication deals, our apartment renovations, and then our lending business Intrust funding. I've been now actually in real estate. Well, that's actually wrong. 18 years of investing in real estate. We have, since founding Heaton Dainard, we have done over $1 billion in transactions with investors just like yourselves. That is all we are geared up for. We are not your traditional real estate shop. We're more of like a commercial style real estate in a residential space. So everything we sell is investments, unless it's like one of our list backs that we're relisted down the road. But that is all we do. We crunch numbers and we sell that and plans behind that. And I think that's really important as you start picking your broker teams, because not every broker is the same. Everyone has, every broker should have their own specialties that they're working on. Like, what was your name again?
Jed.
Jed sells dirt. Selling dirt is a technical, tough business. You got to know what you're looking at. And that's why people come here, is because we sell stuff that we only buy ourselves. So me and Will have been very, very active investors since 2005 and 6. And we've been in all sorts of different market cycles, and we've never stopped buying. And so we adapt, we change plans, and we pivot in any type of market, whether it was the interest rates jumping up, like ridiculous, doubling in the last year, 2008 crash, but there is a plan. Everything that we sell out of this office, we do ourselves or have done. We will not sell stuff that we've never experienced of, because we can't give you guys the right plan behind it. And so that's just really important for us as a broker team, that we give you more than just finding you a property. So since we were wholesalers from 2005 to 2008. We started our own off-market company in 2008. Subprime mortgages exploded the next month, and the market went into a total free fall. During that time, we started buying a lot of properties and flipping them because no one would buy them. And then we founded Heaton Dainard Real Estate in 2010 because we were getting so many good deals off market and on market, but people were just nervous. So the premise to Heaton Dainard is it's a brokerage that not only just finds you deals, we're going to help you along through the process, because our job is to make sure that you guys are making money. And so we take anything, our systems, our people, and we try to give them to our investors and then coach them through to where they become kind of self-sufficient themselves. Like Leica is a great example of that. When we met Leica, does everyone know Leica in the market?
No.
Phenomenal person. She's got a meetup group in Seattle. Just a great, great person. But when she came to us, she's brand new, didn't know what she was doing. She actually hired a bad contractor and was in deep in the project. And we helped her through that project. And now we don't do anything for her. We just sell her the deal. She can be self-sufficient. She makes money and moves on. So our job is to train you guys up. So then it makes our life also easier down the road as well. So since 2010, we've sold over 3,500 properties to investors just like yourselves. So we're a very high volume shop. We've done over $1 billion in investor transactions, and our broker team, our listing team, has designed and listed over 1,500 homes. So we have we're not just brokers. We know how to design things and execute the right plans. So what do? We source on and off market properties for investors. We don't really care where it comes from. The bottom line is we want to find profit, and we want to make sure that there's a return on it, whether it's cash flow, fix and flip, or there's major upside down the road, even if it's a crappy duplex that's losing $2,000 a month. There's a reason for that. Once we source that property, we are going to run the property analysis to what we think is highest and best use for the property. Now, that doesn't mean that investors do whatever they want with that property afterwards, but we're always going to give you a plan, and that plan is typically how I would do the property. Now, again, we have some very, very experienced investors. Sometimes we give them a plan, they just shred our plan, they do whatever they want, just to buy, but we will always give you that property analysis. And so we're different than a lot of brokers, because, a lot of brokers out there, they're going to send you a property and say, hey, this looks like a good deal. It's below market, but they're not going to, the steps to making it a good deal is calculating all the costs, the debt cost, the stabilization cost, how long is it going to take, what is your actual return on that property. And so we're going to run all the property analysis for you. And then once you buy the property, our team's here to work with you and advise you through the entire fix and flip process or cash flow process. And that's where our team does it differently. Once you are sold the property, it's not like, hey, good luck, call us when you're ready. Our team is geared up, and we're going to go over that to walk you through that process, to be there to help it. Now, we're not going to do it for you, but we're going to be there to help you. And that's really important. We want you guys to learn as investors. So what our core services are is we do acquisition purchasing of discounted real estate or investment property. We're going to do the underwriting for you. Then we're going to get you contractor referrals as you need them. Now, I do highly suggest that you start working on building your own referrals out as well, because the people you find are going to have a better relationship, and they're also not getting hit by 100 different people. In addition to, one disclaimer I always put is the referrals we give, these are outside companies, so we have control on how they run their businesses. And now the people that we refer out, typically I've used them before, our clients have used them, but we just always put that disclaimer in because you never know with people and businesses. It's just, now we haven't had many problems, but they do arise sometimes. So again, finding your own referrals, and we'll talk about that kind of as we go. And then we're also going to be able to give you financing referrals, whether it's through Intrust funding, a hard money lender that can take it down. And then we have different types of lending partners that we'll refer you to. We refer you out to those people. We don't make any referral fees on them. We just vet people that know what you guys are doing, because it's really important that they can get your loans done in a timely fashion, because if they take too long, it can cause you guys a lot of different costs down the road. And so we're going to help you out with your financing referrals, whether it's for short-term or long-term. And then we give design services with every one of our listings. Again, you can take our design listing, throw it in the garbage, but we will give you that design and a footprint for what we feel is being successful. But before you get started, there's something I always like to tell people as you're new or getting started, right? Because this is your time where you're starting to check things out, figure out your marketing, or figure out what you want to build, what your strategy is. But you want to start building your bench. The better bench you have as an investor, the more you're going to be able to execute, the more you're going to make money. One reason that we've done really well in the market is we buy the deals no one wants because we have the team that can execute on them. Or I'll go find that team if I need to. And when you buy what no one else wants, you get a way better deal. You know, I always like to tell people, because the general question for us is like, oh, what deals do you pick? You cherry pick out the deals. We get all the leftovers that no one wants. Aaron's been through a lot of the finished ones. They're really tough when we get them. But the bigger the bench you can, the more you're going to be successful. So things that you guys should start working on is go out and start networking. Find 2 reliable general contractors. Just start talking to them. You don't have to have work for them, but just start getting the read on that. Go to investor meetup groups. You're going to come and talk to us. We don't give our referrals out until you become a client because we just can't give them out everywhere. But, you know, start building those generals out. Go 2 reliable subcontractors. You want to start building that out. You need a hard money lender to fund your deal because if you have a good deal, you got to usually close it pretty quick. And then you want to get a conventional lender, which will give you guys a couple different referrals. And we have a really good guy, Keen. He does my own loans. He's doing a loan for me right now. Sharp, knows what he's doing, can get you in and out of loans. And then you want to always have a commercial lender as well, which is going to be, if you're ever looking at buying a property more than 5 or 4 units, that goes into a commercial class, or depending on if you're self-employed, a lot of times commercial lenders are your best friends because traditional lenders aren't. But we have all these different money lenders for you guys that can refer you guys out. And we're constantly interviewing new ones for new product. And if they have a new product, we send them out to our clients. Because you guys, cost of money and access to money is essential for growing in this business. Okay.
What's the difference between a contractor and a subcontractor?
Okay, so a general contractor is going to run your whole job. They're going to come in and bid out the projects, the whole scope of work. A subcontractor will be like a plumber, an electrician, the specialties. And the reason we say get subcontractors too, because a lot of times, even if I hire a general, I give them like 70% of the work because some of their items might just be really high. Or I don't want to pay a general like on a roof when I can just call a roofer out there and get it done. Okay. And so it will typically, you know, the more people you have on your bench will allow you to kind of plug and play with some people and save you sometimes 10, 15% on your bottom line. Okay. Yeah, because this business is not click and play, right? It's not like you find the deal, you hire the contractor, you make this money, it's done. This is a job you have to manage. It's a very high return business. You know, fix and flip, we're targeting 35, 40% returns in a 6-month window a lot of times. But it takes work to get those returns. And so the more people you have, the better, and the more you can execute on it.
Thank you.
And then as you get going too, you know, and you guys, we're gonna go through the presentation, then we're gonna reach out to you guys about coming in if you're interested in doing more business with us and doing a one-on-one with you guys to kind of sit down and figure out what your goals are, where you wanna be, and then kind of help you guys narrow your buy box down. But, you know, as you get going, you wanna always make sure that you're pre-qualified. Because as you're looking at buying an investment deal, you have to have access to money. And so you always want to have a fresh pre-qual going, because even if you're kind of taking your time, but that perfect thing comes across your plate, you want to make sure you're ready to go. And so always get pre-qualified. So as you know, as you start working on your bench, we're going to refer you guys out some resources and then get qualified. Especially if you think you're going to buy it even in the next 4 months, or that's your goal. You want to do it because also the pre-qual is going to tell you what you can afford. Like if you're looking at buying a rental property, you want to know what your max amount is, because then we can really analyze where you want to be, how you get there, and then we can match your cash flow goals with the loan you can get with the location as well. So the importance, don't miss that good deal. You want to be able to make a quick decision. And then there's really 2 lenders you got to get qualified with. Your takedown financing for those BRRRR style properties or fix and flip, that's going to be your hard money lender. This is going to give you a construction loan. And then permanent financing, or if you want to keep them. Hard money is only good for a bridge. You want to get into something a lot cheaper. Oh, actually, permanent financing is not that much cheaper than hard money right now. Actually, it's like under 8%. So, and you guys, if you have any questions throughout, feel free to raise your hand. All right, any questions so far? Okay. So, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about fix and flip, and then we're gonna talk about rental properties. So how it works at our business is we have teams that are segmented. The reason we want that is because we want specialists selling one property or one type of asset. So again, like our rental team and our fix and flip team are, some of our fix and flip guys do sell some rental properties just because they're BRRRR style properties, right? Fix and flip works really well for BRRRR. You're getting that big discount. But we have two different teams because we want you guys getting the highest and best service. We want guys that understand exactly what you're doing. And so on our core team, actually that's just expanded to 5 with Leon in the back there, who's wrapping up.
Hello, everyone.
So we have 5 brokers that will be working with you guys, and typically they work in more geographical locations. And so because they know the area as well, they can tie up a deal quick. And so what we're gonna do is they're the guys out there handling all the dispo for the on-market, off-market, once the properties are secure. They're gonna be the ones packaging up the whole property with the analysis, the comps, the budget, the performa, and they'll be delivering it out. In addition to our fix and flip team, then we have our amazing listing team, which we have 4 listing brokers. Some of them have worked with us for over 10 years. So they're very, very seasoned, and they all have worked on my own projects. These are not your traditional listing brokers. They're not just brokers that go to sign in the yard, feed phone calls, or sell the property. They're with you once you buy that property. They can meet you once a week on site, meet with you, go over design, they can go over floor plans, they can order cabinets. They know how to do more than most. And not only that, they can help your property look amazing for a fraction of the price. So they're very budgeted trained because I am cheap. And I'm gonna say, if I want cheaper, finding cooler stuff. So they've all been trained through that way. And then not only that, we have a full-time support staff that will be handling your closing documents, any questions you have. And then our secret sauce and secret weapon is included in every deal, is we have our client service manager, Ryan Burgess. So Ryan has been a project manager of mine for over 15 years. Now he's in more of the client services role. He is there to help you throughout your construction project. So when you guys buy the property, he's gonna be meeting you out there with your listing broker. He's gonna be helping you get contractor referrals. If you have issues on the site, he'll go meet there, get the quotes from your contractor, see if you can price it out better. His job is to help you control costs and get your referrals. He's awesome. He's ran hundreds of my jobs, and he's just a hardworking guy. And that is all included in the service. And this is where we really tell people that you get to experience our advantage at our office. It's not, again, just your traditional real estate brokerage. Our goal is to provide you guys with the necessary tools for you to be successful and in the extensive resources to guide you from start to finish. It's up to you to execute. So we're going to give you everything on a platter, and then you are there to execute that plan. But you will have all that support staff. So other advantages compared to other places that, I kind of represent a lot, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just different than the traditional brokerage. But how we work is our acquisitions are actual opportunities. We will not be sending you just a listing to go look at and say, hey, let's go look at this, but we don't know what it's going to sell for. Let's go show it, or, let's write an offer. We're going to get the property secured before you guys even have it. So anything you get from us will be a fixed price ready to go. Pricing is fixed. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. We have had investors get annoyed because we work on a first come, first served basis. And so whoever takes it first gets the deal. We have had investors pay more for a property, but it didn't come to us. They actually bought out the other investor's position. I had a client that walked through a property. He's like, he's like, you know what, I'll take it. And then the next guy came, he's like, I want this. I'm like, sorry, it's gone. And so he ended up paying that guy $10,000 on the spot to walk away from the deal. He's like, this is the best day of my life. He's like, I just did a 10-minute walkthrough and I made 10 grand. And I was like, man, I wish I would have made that 10 grand. But, so pricing's fixed. And then anytime we're selling you a deal, you're gonna have a full analysis review. That's detailed walkthrough notes. What we saw when we walked the property. You will be able to walk all the properties as well. But we're gonna get you detailed walkthrough notes. We're gonna perform the deal. What's the financial performance? What's the profit in there? We're gonna calculate those costs for you. We're going to give you an exit strategy with rehab plans and specs. How did we come up with that budget? How do we calculate that? And then what we think it should look like to get highest and best use. And then we're always going to give you a detailed CMA for the future market value after you approve the property. And so That will be in every package. Yep.
James, how, and obviously it's probably different for every deal, but what would you say the average timeline between the time you guys get under contract to the time you assign it to an investor?
Very quick. It's usually within a couple days.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and properties sell, we
And these
like,
sellers are all aware that it's being assigned?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, everything's above board.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's, and because here's the deal, when we're writing offers, and this is part of our competitive edge, if none of our clients take it, I close on it. Because when we write these offers, we're putting out real earnest money, and to get these deals, because for us, I'm more worried about price than anything else. We're putting up, a lot of times, there's a deal right now that I put $100,000 earnest money on it, and we released it to seller, just to secure the deal. So if no one takes it, I'm on that deal. And so, so we like to and that's why we're able to lock deals down. It's that we just don't want our clients to slow us down ever, because we know what the math works. And if we're writing the deal, I feel really comfortable at it. And for me, I'll buy anywhere. And so, but yeah, that's how we lock them down. Yep.
Maybe a stupid question, but if you find those deals, why are you giving them away? Why don't you keep everything for yourself?
Well, you run out of time, bandwidth, and everything else. We do
Is it a scale problem?
What was that?
Is it a scale problem? Like you can't do all of the deals?
If I didn't run all these other businesses, I could easily do them.
Yeah.
At one point we had over 100 renovations going in 2012 to 14. I will say it was very miserable to run that many job sites. We had probably 100 sites going with our clients. This is back when the market was a lot cheaper too, so we used to do a lot more volume.
Mm-hmm.
So we had clients with about 100. I had 100, and I never want to run 100 job sites ever again. Part of that too is we go for bigger deals now, so we can centralize them. One of the reasons I go for bigger deals, not a lot of people do them. Our clients don't do them, but there's good buys there, so we can kind of absorb that inventory. But like right now, my average deal size is like $2.5 million, and so that eats up a lot of liquidity. And so also we build homes. Like right now, we're building about 100 homes, 100 townhomes, and so it's a balancing act for us. But yeah, and then for us, I'm a gap filler. I've always, since we started the business, we just kind of take what no one wants, because it also helps our other businesses out that way. And also teaches us the lessons that we can teach other people, and which really does help us kind of scale the business out. But yeah, no, because right now we do about 100 deals a year, so we couldn't take all those down. And then, it also comes down to your resources. Like my guys right now, because of the nature of the renovations we're doing, if I went to Tacoma, Gary would smoke me on his. Like Gary can get it done way cheaper. His buddy that does a lot of deals with us down there than I can do it for. Now I can probably do a high-end property a lot cheaper than he could, because I have my team set up for that way. So it does come down to, I don't buy based on liquidity. We buy based on resources and where we're ready to go. We used to buy on liquidity, but then we learned that it can be very inefficient sometimes. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. But good question. So then our listing service, which we kind of talked about already, they're designed and budgeted, trained. They understand the math. They understand if you're going to spend more, you got to get more out of it. They are numbers gals as well. They're going to also give you up-to-date market updates. So they're going to be sending you anything that goes live. If you have a fix and flip property, something changes on sales up, down, they're going to be getting that notification immediately. And then we're going to say, hey, time out. We either want to improve this more or scale this back. Like when the rates started skyrocketing, we had to contact a lot of our clients. We're like, hey, switch the specs out. We started, cutting floor costs, cutting cabinet costs, tile costs down. Market was going up like this. We were like, wait, we need to add another bathroom now because you have an extra $100,000. So we keep you up to date on the values. They're available to do a monthly or weekly job site walk, so they can walk a site with you whenever you want. And they can bring Ryan with you to have the full team meeting. They come with that client service manager, Ryan, and then again, they're going to be up to date with your exit plan. They're going to be handling your specs and your design behind that.
Do you feel you're pretty conservative on your ARVs?
I feel like we are. We're definitely, our clients have done really well. I think we have a high repeat client basis, which usually tells us as well.
That's a knock on a lot of wholesalers, right? Obviously, they throw out these crazy high ARVs. That really a realistic comp?
Yeah, and that's buyer beware, guys.
Yeah.
And you have to verify your own information. We have a vested interest though, because we're with our clients for such a long period of time. I can tell you nothing's worse than working with a client for 6 to 9 months on a project, and then the deal goes we're trying to sell it for a price that's way too high. We want to list them to sell. Like most of our properties sell in the first week. That's how it should be. They should be selling week to 2 weeks, because it is not enjoyable when a client's stressed out about selling a property. I'd rather just buy it myself at that point. But yes, I think we're very conservative. So, and we know when to push and we know when to pull back, because we've sold so many different types of properties. Especially right now, like your traditional, over the last couple of years, and this is one of the issues, there's such high demand for property, wholesalers can sell whatever they want it for. And then the typical discounts on properties weren't hitting what they usually do. Like if you usually buy on a busy road, that's a 5 to 10% discount off your value. But when the rates were low, it didn't matter. They were selling for almost par. Now you're going to sell it for a lot less or hold it for a lot longer. And so because we've bought in all the markets, we know how to make those adjustments. And again, we don't want to have our listing sign out there very long. So I don't think Gary's had too many long listings with us.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we like to move them. So now that we kind of talked about the team, we're going to talk about how we know your deal. So we're going to walk you through just a deal blast. For if you decide to move forward with us, you're like, okay, we're signed up. We want to start. And that doesn't mean you buy tomorrow. And you guys take your time. We are very low pressure salespeople too. We want people to buy smart, not just get you into a deal. Again, that's not enjoyable for us either because we're with you the whole time. But we're going to walk you through how do we take you through a deal, how do you get it, and then how do we analyze it for you. So here's an example, and you guys, this was just like a deal blast that went out. So typically, you guys, we don't like to mass market the deals. They kind of, you're going to get this though 2 ways, either in this fancy looking one that comes from a template, or you're just going to get it in Outlook with the same information. We try to know exactly what the clients are looking for. So when we're making that call, typically it's 99% already in their buy box. Like we're going, hey, after all the things that we've sat down, we talked about, we went over these things, this is the deal that works for you. So, and then when they give you that phone call, they'll send you out the information. So this is a property that we sold in North Tacoma. Typically in the email, you're going to have your general fluff, which is like, hey, this is a great deal. Here's a little bit of information about the area, what we like about it, if there's pros, if there's cons, that will be all in the general. Then it gets into the nuts and bolts of the email, which right here, it's always going to give you the general information, which location, North Tacoma, Ballard, wherever it is. Then we're going to have the acquisition price. That's $410,000. That is out the door price. The only thing that does not cover is your side of closing costs. The reason we don't have that in there, some of our clients pay straight cash. Some people get a lender's coverage, and so that varies. So that will be within like $1,500 to $2,000 typically, depending on how you're buying. Then we're going to have our estimated fix up in a bullet point, the estimated value, and then estimated profit. So this is just a quick highlight for you guys. We also really pride ourselves on not wasting your time. We want to make sure we're getting you all that information because a lot of people have full-time jobs and get it to you up front. So this is kind of like here's the basics. You can look through that and go, okay, yeah, this looks like something I'd be interested in. Then from here, we're going to bullet point out what needs to be done. New windows, create master, add half bath on main floor. Just the general, again, bullet points to what the deal is. Then based on the comparables, we're going to say, hey, these are the comps that we're using. Now from here, then you can dig in deeper. So you look at that email and you go, okay, this is something I want to kind of dig into. First link you're going to click is a link to photos. The worse the property, the more photos you're going to have. Again, we don't want you wasting time. Like for people on wholesaler deals, like there's plenty of times of like, this deal looks great. And I race out there, I sit in an hour worth of traffic, and I get there, I'm like, there's no foundation in this house. And I'm like, you didn't take a photo of the no foundation. What's going on? So we will over inundate you because again, we don't want to waste your time. So this property right here, as you see, was just a tired house. This is an estate. This one's not that bad. We get some nasty ones. But as you can see, it's just dated, right? Old floors, mechanicals are old. Got wiring that's kind of dated out there. But overall, not a bad house. The kitchen needs to be opened up, redone. But it's a 1920s house, so we had a fairly large budget in there. The good thing that was in this house was it had some good things done on it. Like the roof was okay, and then the basement had been already finished by the previous homeowner, so it actually had all new wiring down below, was can lit, it just needed to be really painted out and cleaned up. So for the square footage, we only had to remodel the really top 2 floors and then button up the basement. Now, once you go through the photos, you're going, okay, this looks like something I might be able to handle. Then you get into, again, the profitability of the deal. So this is our flip calculator, and actually we just changed this, so it's gonna look a little bit different. And we have a new presentation coming out next month too that will be recorded. If you guys don't look at that one, basically the same information. But how it's set up, this is set up for 3 different boxes. The new calculator is gonna allow you to just have one box and you can change all the terms around. But what it is in here, this tells you the financial performance of the property. So this is gonna have the purchase price in there at 410. Then it's got the estimated fix up in there. Then this will have our value, and then right here, the holding months is how long we're expecting you to have that from purchase to close based on the renovation timelines. Okay. Typically, on a more cosmetic flip, we're gonna put 6 months in there. For something that's kind of in the middle, like this one, where it's like adding a bathroom, not moving too much stuff around, we're gonna be around 9 months. And if you're a full studs down renovation, we're gonna be 12 to 14 months on hold times. That's about what we have tracked average. On our cosmetic flips, our clients on average do them in 6.1 months. And we just pull that every 12 months to see what's going on. But that's about the timeline you should be in. So what this is set up for is 3 different types of boxes. One is this has been approved by Intrust funding. It's ready to close this way based on this. That's your construction count. But the first one's going to be based on cash, where you're paying $410 for the property, you put $130 into it. We have $2,500 in for just miscellaneous stuff, which is going to be like your electric bill, just general utilities throughout holding it. It always ends up being around that. That's going to calculate your direct cost. It's going to have the resale. We're going to back out real estate commissions, excise tax, title, escrow fees, and then we are at a net profit of $100,000 or an 18% return on this deal. Okay. Now the thing is with investing is leverage is your best friend. It's your key. As long as you don't abuse it. Do not abuse leverage. It hurts when you do. I learned that lesson definitely learned that lesson in 2008. I was taught a certain way to buy houses when I was young. You buy a house, you refinance everything out of it, you take that money, you go buy more houses. But then you're stuck with a bunch of over-leveraged nonsense. And when something bad happens, you end up having 9 rental properties that you're losing $5,000 a month on. Mm-hmm. And so it's not an enjoyable experience. So definitely don't overabuse leverage. But in short term, this is how you're going to maximize yourself. Because the issue is with this deal, you're going to come up with $550,000 for this deal. I don't sit on $550 very often to go just do one deal, right? It's not smart, right? And you're making, and the 18% return is not a bad return on your money in 6 or 9 months. But the point of leverage is to maximize that. It's the velocity of money. How do you grow fast, right? When the market crashed and we had lost all our money in 2008, we didn't have a whole lot, so we had to borrow money at 4 points at 18% because we could get a lot of leverage. Now it worked because of the discounts we were getting, but you have to use. That's how we grew fast. That's how we came back, right? Didn't have a lot of money, so we were able to double, triple, quadruple our money really quick because we didn't have a whole lot, just by doing some deals and getting the path back. But on this will break down your construction loan with interest funding. So typically interest funding is going to be 15 to 25% down, depending on the deal and the loan to value. And then also who the client is. What they do is they're going to take your purchase price and your rehab, and they're going to roll that all into one loan. And then you're going to put your down payment down, which is, like I said, 20 to 25%. And then they're going to draw you back all the construction funds. So in this project right here, the client's paying $410, they got $131, same project cost. The down payment now, instead of having to pay $410 to close, they have to come in with $135,000 to do this deal. But the client now is getting $130,000 back to them over the life of their construction. And then interest funding is a little bit more unique than most lenders is because they give you your draw the day after you close. Most lenders want to be reimbursed, right? So they might have a little bit lower down, but then you got to come up with your 20%. They send out a specialist, they check it, and they reimburse you. We don't have any of that third-party checking. We do everything ourselves. So you get your draw check right away. So on this deal, the client would have came in with $135 down. They're going to get roughly $30,000 back the day after closing to get going on the project. And then once they hit their benchmark, they'll get another draw. This is then going to calculate all their points on this deal, 2 points at 12%. So they have points, and then they have the hard money payments queued off the 9 months at that point. Okay, so that's gonna calculate all your debt cost in there. So then your direct cost, because of leverage, goes from 543 to 594. So yes, 50 grand more in cost on this deal. But after you back it all down, your net profit got cut in half, but your return went up to 28.3% at that point. And so for me, as an investor, this is how we've grown, is if I have 550 grand here, I can do this deal 2.5 to 3 times over. And so I can make 150 grand in the same time frame rather than 100, right? So it's all about the glossy money. Now, I'm not telling you to go buy 3 deals right now. One deal at a time, get going. But that's the whole point of leverage. So when you look at this pro forma, you can look at this and go, hey, this meets my minimum buy box. I'm good to buy this or not. So you guys, this is the most important box that I look at. How much cash do I need to do this deal? Is it hitting my minimum return? When you guys come in for your 101, we're gonna really talk to you guys about your buy box, what's your expectations, what's your return. And based on that, you should not break those rules at all. Because that's what will tell you whether you should buy or not. And we'll coach you through on where you should be. Now, once you go through the performance and yeah, I kind of like this deal, it's hitting my returns, then we're gonna give you something, we're gonna give you our design book that goes along with it. This is what we think you should do. So we're gonna get a visual book of what it should look like. We have 12 different versions of these books. We have traditional, craftsman, modern, mid-century, and then we also have farmhouse, because that's the hot trend right now, or maybe it's getting boring, but it's still there. And then we have 3 different budgets for each design, because you can do a modern, expensive, middle, and cheap. And so based on what area you're in, that's gonna tell you the specs and the allowances that go with it. But it's gonna be all top trending designs, colors, schemes, everything will be selected for you. But again, you can pick whatever you want. It will just be a template of what we feel is that works. So, and then once you get through the shiny stuff, then we get into where did we come up with this $130,000 number, the most important part. Design's fun, but the numbers are important. So we have our budget breakdown. It's a rough calculation of all costs. Budgets are based on historical rates, and we're always checking these pricings and adjusting them. With the inflation the last 2 years, we've been having to adjust all the time, but it's starting to really settle down. You guys, construction costs are down 10% year over year. And so, it's starting to get some relief there. It's broken down by allowances and install rates. We're not gut checking it. And then all investors should verify their own costs. My costs are not your costs. Your costs are not mine. Some of our clients are extremely cheap and thrifty, and they get stuff done for, I can't even believe it for. And then some guys go to the 9s every time, but they want to go for a higher value. And so depending on your teams, we'll adjust your budgets, but you can also add in your own costs. And then adjust your pro forma. We should adjust accordingly with what your costs are. So to give you an example how we break down the budget. So for right here, for example, they're all broken down by blocks. So for the electrical in this house, we had it at $9,500 to rewire just the 2 floors. We calculated that based on 2,000 square feet at $3 a foot. Our electricians that we work with say just to rough in, they're about $3 a foot. Then we broke it down by trim out, which was at $1 a foot because there's a lower end neighborhood. If it's in Seattle, we go to $2 a foot for nicer switches in there. And then we have it broken down even by ceiling fixtures. We know our electricians are charging us $25 to put in each light. We have an allowance of $20 here. That's to just buy a standard surface light in there. Our spec sheet will match that $20 light. So that's how granular we get on that. Now, it's not perfect, but it's how we can kind of calculate the cost. So we break it down all by line item. You can go through it all. You can go through it with your contractor, see where they're over, where they're not over, and then Ryan can get your referrals if we can plug in a cheaper sub for you. Any questions on that so far? Then after you go through the budget, we're going to give you, okay, how do we come up with this value? So for this property, we actually had 3 columns, but here's 2 of them. We had one at 669, so we're saying it's worth $700,000. We're showing you this because in these photos, when you went through it, it's still fairly dated at that point. And so we can say, hey, we can justify we're spending $130,000. It's getting us $30,000 more value. And then we had another craftsman sell for $702, and we had the value at $699. So after it was all said and done, this is what it looked like. And so we like to point this one out because you guys, this client actually lives down in South America. She's there 9 months out of the year. She's got a good life. She's got a great house on the beach. She enjoys it. She has a contractor up here, and then Megan, one of our listing brokers, and Ryan, they just work with that contractor, giving them the details. She walks the job sites for them. And so it's very hands-off flipping. But so all these colors, schemes, and design were all picked by our broker, Megan. But as you see, it turned out good. You know, it's not overly done, but it's got all the shiny stuff you need to sell this property. You know, we went with like cost-effective floors, shaker cabinets, countertops, and you guys, we get good preferred pricing on this stuff. Can anyone guess what they think this kitchen costs? Cabinets and counters.
$12K.
$12K.
10.
Yeah, we're gonna say 20K.
We will get you guys these cabinets for about $4,000, and the countertops would be about $1,500 for the kitchen, to $2,000. The whole house would be about $3,500. So those are things that, and these are direct suppliers that we just give to you guys at that point. We negotiate the pricing way down on them. You have to use our name. We don't get any referral fee people throw at us. I say just give us the discount, and so we drive the pricing down. Because again, we don't want referral fees. We want full commissions. Full commissions mean you guys need to make money. So, so that's what we have. All these vendors kind of set up, ready to go. But the house turned out great. Good scheme. It's very sellable. All the little bells and whistles. That was that basement that we did a light touch up on. As you can see, it still looks a little bit dated. So then what happened? So client paid $410,000. They spent $130,000 on the property. We had a value of $699 to $720 on this deal. Ended up selling for $800,000. Net profit of $71,000, or 45% return on their loan. And you guys, that's about right now in today's market. So what we are targeting is about 35 to 40% cash on cash returns in a 6-month basis with leverage in there. That equates to about 15 to 17% if you're not in leverage. If you're doing a bigger 12-month project, we're targeting like 50 to 60% or even higher at that point. But because we'd like to show you guys deals that are pretty reasonable in pricing in what they go for. So here's other recent deals. We have a new sewer that's coming out next month. Client paid $585,000. They put $85,000 in. It sold for $850,000. This Mapotio rehab was $380,000. They put $105,000 in. Sold it for $650,000. This is one in Seattle. Bigger the fixture, bigger the margins. Client paid $850,000 for it. They put $250,000 in. Sold it for $1,433,000. And then this Everett remodel, again, this place was hammered bad. $200,000, super cheap, hard to find a house in Everett for $200,000. They put $130,000 into an 800 square foot house, and we sold it for $550,000. So bigger the fixture, bigger the margin, and it should be that way. It's more work.
Most of your clients seems like they're all flipping, or many holding.
Oh no, we have a lot of hold clients too. Yeah, so a lot of apartment. Now recently, apartments been a little bit tough. Just because people aren't flexing on the price much. But you guys, it's actually a really good time to grab, and we'll talk about this in a second, rental properties with some good upside on them. Because dirt, you know this well, dirt was at an all-time high 12 to 18 months ago, where people were paying this ridiculous amount for dirt. And then builders, with the cost of money going up, their bill costs skyrocketed, they went a little too big. They pulled out of the market really hard, and it dropped that dirt way down to where you can buy a rental property on some pretty good dirt, keep it for a couple of years, and when that building boom comes back, it's worth money. And so that's kind of our focus right now. It's like sourcing like RSL is a really, does everyone know what RSL is?
No.
So RSL is cottage dirt that got rezoned, where you can, let's say you have a 5,000 square foot house, you can build 5 little mini cottages on it. It's not the daddies, they're actual cottages. That became the hottest selling commodity in Seattle for a second. And then when people realized it was really expensive to build, it was lacking parking, and their pricing fell when the rates fell or skyrocketed. And so that dirt has literally dropped about 40% in value. But that means there's good rental property on there you can keep and then keep for a long-term play. So now that we've gone through fix and flip, and any questions on about fix and flip before we jump into rentals, I'll keep it moving because we got financing after this. Okay, so we're going to dig into long-term wealth, how you build wealth in real estate. So flipping, wholesaling, that's for income, right? That is how we make our income. That's how we built up our rental properties. How we started building our rental properties, we started over in 2008. we were selling properties, and then we would allocate 20 to 25% of our profit for the year and go buy a rental house at that time. And then we would keep doing that. And then by doing that, it got us about 12 single-family houses with big equity and good upside in them. And we started 1031 exchanges like crazy over the years. And we took those 12 properties, and now we have over 1,000 doors in Seattle. And so just by buying them and keeping them, you can trade them and make huge impacts in your bottom line later. Now, we added new money in too. The 12 didn't just get us 1,000, but it got us going. So what we sell and what we're specialists in is we sell single family, burr properties, traditional rentals, anything just for your single family. Multifamily, any size from, I would say typically we're selling, I would say 10 to 20 unit type properties, 2 to 4s, and then we go up to about 50. After that, the big guys start eating it, and it's just not very good margins. But we do look for it all. Have a lot of background in rooming houses. We own a bunch of rooming houses by UW, Seattle U. They can be good and bad. During COVID, they were terrible. Pandemic, rooming houses, not good. But typically, they cash flow really well. We're actually about ready to 1031 a bunch into a bigger apartment building. Commercial real estate, vacation rentals, if you guys are interested in that. We don't sell a ton of that. That's more specific. We're very the traditional guys, though. We don't think you should short-term rental in just random markets. If you have an end goal to owning a vacation rental, I think it's a good business. Not a big short-term rental guy. It's not my thing. Unless it has a purpose. And then if you guys don't want to do any of the work, we are syndicators, and you can invest with us if you're accredited. But a lot of you guys are newer, you're in growth phase. Even if you are accredited, don't do syndications. It's not going to grow you fast enough. They're great ways to get tax write-off, great returns, great good deals if you do want to do that. But if you want growth, buy your own deals. And that's coming from a syndicator. So that's the best advice I could give you guys on that. Because I've seen a lot of people, like, they throw their 50 grand into a syndication. I'm like, well, now you're going to make 8% of your money when we could be targeting like 40, 50% and grow a lot faster. But, so why holdings? So holdings, it gives you a tax benefit. When you flip a house, you pay a high gain. I pay personally, because of our income, I pay 40 cents on every dollar I make. That sucks. When you keep them for longer than 12 months, it drops down by almost half, right? So it makes a big deal. That actually can help too. Sometimes we call it the slow flip. You buy a property, you rent it out, short-term rental for a little bit, even a month or two, you sell it, your tax basis goes down. You can flip smarter. But there's great tax benefits. Depreciation is a real thing. Cost segregation is a real thing. It can drive down your income. It's a good hedge against inflation, especially right now, guys. We are seeing there's an affordability crunch. Rates are at an all-time high, but guess what? The median home price is still going up. It's just where we are at. It's the weirdest thing. I thought it was coming way down, not happening. That's also gonna, what that's kind of telling us is the dollar's getting pretty weak, and it hasn't been quite reported right. Owning housing that will pay you if the dollar gets weak is gonna be your bet against that dollar. Right now I'm looking to buy a lot of different rental properties just because I'm not confident in the dollar. So good way to hedge against that. It's got great for passive income. That's how we stop working, and then get you to financial freedom. So additional resources that we have a lot of background in 1031 exchanges. If you guys have any property or you're interested in that, we have done hundreds of them. So we kind of know when to do them, when not to do them. We're running a return on equity. Self-directed IRAs and 401k. If you have any of that, we can help you get set up with the right company. Another really good ways, you guys, we do loans out of our 401k. We do flip a year in a 401k. It has made some really rapid growth that we don't pay taxes on. Opportunity zones, and then we do have an off-market company that buys houses that has a ton of off-market leads and sellers. So if you're looking for something specific, we might have it in our database that we can kind of pull it out and get after it. And then we are very experienced with leverage and structure. How do you maximize this deal by leaving as little money in as possible, or when to leave it in? And then we used to have discounted referrals for property management, but our clients were bugging us so much that we now have property management for everybody, and we offer that at 7%, which is pretty cheap compared to what the market is. And Jennifer Hafner, who's on our multifamily team, she runs it with us. She's amazing. So I have now given her all my own personal rentals outside of me and Will's. So runs them all. I don't have to worry about them. Does a great job. And I pay the same as what everyone else pays. But it's well worth it. So me and Jennifer are our two main brokers with the long-term wealth for our multifamily side. And then some of our fix and flip guys do the rentals as well. Our short-term financing partner is Kyle Johansson. The 1031 exchange partner is Kyle Williams at Fidelity National Title. We just refer out the bigger guys because we know your money's protected. And then we have a ton of different permanent financing partners. Actually, we just kind of switched that to where you have a really good guy that I'm very happy with. We're constantly switching that out, guys. It really depends on the banks they're working with and the rates they have. But we are pricing that for you and always check it. So, because again, if you guys have access to money, it makes our life easier too. So we'll get you the best possible mortgage referrals. So why keep rentals? Oh, that's a typo, I'm sorry. So average rent increases for 2022, King County was at 20.9%, Pierce County was at 22, and Snohomish was at 21, not 51. I'd be really kicking myself for not owning more Snohomish property. And then you guys, one thing that we always like to point out, so when we look at rental properties, we're gonna be kind of looking at these on a 5 and 10 year basis for you to show you the growth. When we look at that, our appreciation at 3.53%, because that's the average over it's more like 25 years. This last 4 years is all bogus. So that's the normal, like when you buy a property, you should be going up about 3 to 5% a year. And so we run it at 3.5 because we want to be realistic. Other benefits for long-term wealth, long-term liability versus short-term liability. Again, those slow flips are a good thing. You make almost double, or you almost save double on your taxes when you're doing one deal. So it's just working smart. Depreciation, hedge against inflation, and passive income. We talked about those things. So we have basically two main processes when we're talking about rental properties. One is going to be for acquisition, and that's where we want to really meet with you guys, especially if you're keeping it. Keeping is different than flipping. Like flipping, I'll buy in any neighborhood. My rentals, I won't put in every neighborhood. It depends on what I'm trying to do. So we want to get to know what your goals are, what your cash flow goals are, what your long-term goals are, because based on those goals, we might put you in a different neighborhood for growth and equity and low cash flow. Or if it's more passive, we might stick you down in a different section for just a high cash return. Each neighborhood has its own benefit. Again, going back to that duplex I'm buying in Bellevue, terrible cash flow deal, huge equity gain, right? I don't care about the cash flow for a year because I'm going to 1031 that out in something else in a year and just trade it for more cash flow. And so there's a purpose for every type of property. But we're going to talk to you about your portfolio if you don't have one or how to start building one. We're going to put together kind of a 5-year, 10-year action plan for you, get you pre-qualified and start looking for opportunities. If you have properties and you want us to look at it, we will look at your portfolio. We'll run comps for you, your analysis, run your return on equity, and tell you whether we think you should keep it or sell that property. Because a lot of times, anybody that owns property, you should run return on equity every year. And if the property doesn't have extra upside in it, there's a good chance you might want to trade that out, even if rates are higher. It's all about the long-term gain, not that short-term. So, and we can help you all with that. And then if you want, we can get you set up with a 1031 exchange, get your property listed, and start trading you out to get you in a better spot. And then we do have a house. Who does not own property right now? Okay, so you guys, there's the first-time home buyer is our house hacking program. This is a no-brainer for everybody to do because we can get you a loan from 0 to 3% down, and you can buy. If you buy that property, you live in it for a month, and you decide to rent out rooms, and you move back out, then you got a good rental property. Because something comes up. Now you're supposed to stay there for a year. A lot of people do, but a lot of people move into these properties. They keep them as rentals, but then they don't have to leave 20-25% in that deal, and then they can do it again. So we have some clients that built up 10 rental properties over a 10-year period with 3% down on every one of those. And so if you guys want, we have this class. It's a separate class. You guys come to that, get you qualified, ready to go. And then, you should look at it. If I can still get a 3% down loan, I would go do it right now. It's an easy way to get your first rental going and get growing. All right, so there's two different acquisition approaches that we do. There's a traditional approach and the value add approach. Value add approach, the BRRRR method. Is everyone familiar with the BRRRR method? Right? So the point of value add I'm gonna go over this first, because that's what most people know, is you buying a property below market value, and that your purchase price and your rehab is gonna be 70 to 75% all in of what your new appraised value is. Because banks are gonna allow you to leverage up to that point, typically. So the reason people want the value add is because you can buy it discounted, you put in the renovation, you refinance it out and get most of your capital back to start working it again. Okay? So how we do those is it's a more complex analysis and more complex process. You have to get 2 loans for those properties. The first one is you're buying something that needs a lot of work, you gotta get a hard money loan and a construction loan. That's gonna allow you to maximize your leverage. It's gonna help get it renovated, then you're gonna refinance that money back out and get back to reinvesting. So it's based on performance metrics. What's your discount? What's the rent? Is it gonna cover? How much cash do you have to leave in it? If a property's losing money because the loan to value is at 100% or you're no cash back out, we're probably gonna tell you to leave a little bit of cash in. I don't think anybody should be buying properties that are negative, unless it's in Bellevue with 300 grand equity or a huge equity position. It's just not a good recipe, guys. But we're gonna check your leverage position. We're gonna run your cost of improvements, just like we do your fix and flip. It's a 2-step loan process. You take it down with Intrust funding, refinance back out. The benefit to Burr is you are gonna get a better leverage position. You can use that new created equity for the bank to give you more money, which is gonna keep more money in your pocket, which is more gunpowder to grow. So it's very essential, especially as you're getting going, right? Keeping on your liquidity. The negative thing is that nobody talks about is a lot of times these properties are hammered. Many properties I buy, I don't see cash flow on it for 12, 18. There was a property, a rooming house we did that was 62 units in Seattle. We didn't see cash flow for 4 years. Because now the cash flow is ripping now, it was worth it. We're making like $28,000 a month on this property. But for 4 years, we were stroking a check for 15 grand a month. And so this is what no one talks about, but it needs to be addressed. So because sometimes you guys, burrs aren't always the best method. The traditional, sometimes leaving a little bit of money in is actually a better way to go because you can find a property that doesn't need all the headache and the work. You're buying it with a traditional loan up front because they're in better shape. You know, we're targeting properties. You're not gonna get the same discount. You'll get like a 10 to 15% discount. So you're still picking up equity. But then once you close, you can pick up rent right away. And so it's paying for that money that whole time. And so I know everyone talks about Burr. It's a great method. I believe in it, but it's not always the best choice, especially right now with what I was talking about with dirt. You can find properties below market where you can put maybe 10, 15% down. You can put 20 down, then you clean it up a little bit, get a little bit of value, refinance again, and you get like half your cash back. But then it's got that big development kicker in it. And it's okay to leave your money there because the growth you're going to get in a 12 to 24 month period. And so it's worth doing. And so don't be blinded by the Burr all the time. Again, it's a great way to go, but it's a lot more work. So what the traditional approach is, we look at existing financial metrics, how high can we get the rents. It's usually very minimum rehab to get going, like carpet paint, light things going on. And then typically, once you're done with these, you're gonna leave, instead of the Burr where we're trying to get most of your cash back out, acquisition, you're gonna leave 10 to 20% down for like a light, for anywhere between 1 and 4 units, where we're getting a lighter discount. You're gonna leave about 10% in that deal, maybe 20 depending on location. And if you're 5 units and above, you're gonna leave 20 to 40% depending on whether it's in Bellevue or a couple of these other areas. Typically, you're gonna be about 20% down. So then we come those 2 approaches. Here's our syndication for people that don't want to do any work. So if you do want to invest with us, you must be accredited. It's totally passive income. We do all the hard work. We're packaging it. We manage all the lease up. We manage all the construction in-house. You're always going to get a pref return. Typically, it's going to be 7 to 8% with us on the pref return. Unless it's in a little bit better neighborhood, it might drop down to 6.5. And then our target IRR is typically going to be 15 to 17% IRR. And then the great thing is, this is why I actually invest in our own syndications too, is you get this bonus depreciation. So at the end of my year, if we're wrapping up on a syndication, I throw money in it real quick just to get my tax write-off. Because a lot of times, like, let's say I throw 100 grand in a syndication, I'm usually gonna get about 45,000 of that year one back to me off my taxes. And so I'm like, I'd rather just put it in a real estate deal rather than give it to the IRS. So I do that kind of a cleanup at the end of the year, every year, just to try to drive that tax bill down. So bonus depreciation is a great thing. All right, so let's look at a rental property that we just sold not too long ago, and then interest money will come in. So this is kind of your standard rental property. It's not, doesn't need too much work. It's not a true bird, because you leave some cash in, but this is why it's okay to leave some cash in some of these deals. So this is a property that we sourced in Burien. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath property built in 1943, but it was on a 9,900 square foot lot that you can put 2 dadoos on, or ADUs later. So great upside on this already. That's why I really like this deal. It was only 700 square feet, again, built in 1943, but a cosmetic fixture. This is what it looked like when we got it. So the roof was good, siding was a little weathered. Let's look at what we got it for. So we paid $350,000, which in Burien for that house, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer price, except for when we ran the flip analytics on it. We were gonna have to put $65,000 in because we were gonna need to make it a 2-bed, 2-bath. It was only gonna be worth $500,000 at that point. Estimated profit on that is 10 to 15 grand. That's 83 grand in the deal to do it, to make 10 to 15. That's a 12.5% return with leverage. That's not a buy for us. We want to be at 30%. But when we look at this as a rental, we're like, wait, maybe this works this way. And this is when rates were already high at this point. So back when rates are low, no brainer. Rates high, not so much. But we contracted for $350. The client put in $35. And the value for the 1-bath was actually still $475. So there wasn't a huge kick for that extra renovation. So the bonus on this property is there was going to be about $100,000 equity position in this, right? That gunpowder trade out later. I'm always looking for that trade out dollars. Again, I'm not focused on cash flow right now in my life. So that's why we like the deal. So as you can see, it wasn't terrible shape. Nice big yard with access to build later on. Needed flooring, needed the cabinets that we've reworked, needed the bathroom cleanup, but not too bad. So this is our pro forma for how we run our cash flow analysis. How it works is you put in the $350, we got a renovation cost in here, and then our new appraised value. This new appraised value, again, like I said with Burge, is you can take it up to 70 to 75%, and that's going to dictate how much cash is in the deal and calculate your payment and whether there's cash flow. So then down here, what we do is we factored in months of rehab, months of refinance. So this client bought it with hard money, and then we factored in 4 months of hard money payments into his deal because we need to factor for that in if they're going to have to leave it or not. In addition to, we then ran our cash flow based on a vacancy rate at 5% and an annual appreciation at 3%, which shows the equity position later down the road. So on this property, it was going to rent for $2,850, and we'll show you how we got there. We use comparables. And so this will always be the box that's going to tell you all your potential monthly income. Now from here, we're going to back up the expenses. So with single family houses, we keep it very basic. With multifamily, we break it all down like you should. So we break out all the costs. Single family is a little bit different because some of our clients self-manage, some don't. And so we put in the bare bones, and then we, based on our clients, we'll change these out for them. Like, hey, if you're going to use property management, let's add these things in. So on this property, it was going to rent for $2,850, which is going to be $34,000 a year. We're going to back up the property taxes, hazard insurance, and then at that point, because it's a single-family house, our tenants, at least how we lease, is they cover all their own trash, utilities, garbage, everything. They're responsible for everything on site. Okay, so this is just your basic cash flow figures. Okay, again, we keep single-family basic, but as you go through, you guys, things to do too. It also depends on whether we put in like repairs and maintenance. Like some of our houses, we're taking all the way down to studs, or repairs and maintenance bills are usually fairly low on those. But if it's something that we're selling where it's more cosmetics, we might add in a bunch there too, or if we think the roof's coming up in 5 years. So based on those things, we can change any of those numbers around. But based on these numbers, being a clean rental, the client was going to buy this property. They were going to get $2,850 after all expenses and their mortgage payment at that point. They were going to cash flow $199 a month. Okay, or $2,300 a year. That ends up being, this box here is going to tell you your core figures. It was a 7.8 cap, but no one cares about cap rates on single family. But we do it because everyone pitches it. Anyone pitches cap rates on single family, ignore them. But it's in our box because it also calculates multifamily. It tells you cash on cash return, and then it tells you what your return is, right? You're only making 4% on your money on this deal. That's not great. inflation's higher than that. That would not be why I would like this deal. But, oh, and then from here, it tells you what your down payment is, what's $93,000 to do this deal, just for this one specifically. When they were done with their refi, based on their whole cost, their new appraised value, the client was gonna have to leave $53,000 a year in that deal, or $53,000 in this deal. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, $53,000 in the deal, that sucks, and I get that. But it's all about, okay, what can you do with this in a year or two? You don't need to leave $53,000 in it forever. And I would say because this has so much upside, that's why I would leave it in. If it had no real upside or equity growth or development growth, I probably wouldn't be as interested. But based on this, the rents were at $2,850. Cash invested was $53,000 at a 70% loan to value on this. We didn't take it up to 75% because we want to make sure there's still cash flow in the deal. So in theory, you could break even and get a little bit more out. Cap rate was 7.8, no one cares. Cash on cash return was 4%, but then your equity position here was $75,000 to $100,000. So right here alone, I have almost 100% return on my cash that I'm going to be able to use and trade later. Also, this value of 500 was after rates had dropped or skyrocketed. This house was worth 575 or about 550 we were doing flips for. So there was some runway once rates come down too. So those were the core metric numbers. This is how we pull our rent comps, we use Rentometer and we use MLS comps. We kind of blend them, and that's how we come up with it. So the average rent was $2,700, median was $2,698, and then the high was $2,945. We pull rent comps. Great thing is, a broker in our office rented one of their houses for $2,900. Now this was a 3-bed, which should get higher rents, but this was also in a terrible location, not renovated. And so we kind of blended it that way. And then we had another 2,400 rent comp that was a 4-bed, but it was terrible. And those were all, so based on those things, we came up with our rent analysis of the 2,850. So currently, it was $199 a month cash flow with a 7% interest rate when the guy bought it. Now that's about 7.5. It was a 4% cash on cash return. But the thing is, it's all short-term pain. This is what we've been focused on. Where's the upside? This property had $100,000 in equity. It had development rights in the back, so good long-term play. I would actually probably try to keep this one for a couple of years because Burian's currently working on condomizing those off, and then all of a sudden that becomes a home run at that point. But I know for me, I think rates are going to fall in the next 12 to 24 months, right? I'm hoping. I don't think it's going to be at the end of the year, but 12 months, I think we're going to be at least lower, right? If the rates even go down to 5.5%, the cash flow goes from $199 a month with doing no work to $650 a month and a 12% return. For us to get a 12% return on a single family house, I was going to have to buy the biggest pile of crap house and renovate it for over a year anyways, because I could buy it that deep to offset the cost. Now I don't have to do any of that. I just got to sit on it for a year. And so it's actually easier to hit your 10% return. That's my bare minimum for cash flow on a property unless it has an upside. 10% is what I'm looking for. And so as rates fall, the cash flow will improve. So, and, we'll always run that for you too. So other success stories on Intrust funding is going to come up, and then we'll answer questions at the end. Other recent deals we've done. This was a Seattle fourplex. We sold for $800,000. The client had to leave $310 in the deal on a 1031 exchange, but they're making 10% return in a good neighborhood. We sold 2 Burian and fourplexes as a package for $1.96 million. Ended up being a 12% cash on cash return. So for people that say you can't cash flow in Seattle, that's not true. You got to leave some cash there, either raise money, bring it in, but 12% is good money. Bothell duplex was a total pile. We got for $462, hence the price. It was a 16% return on their cash at $73,000 invested. And then actually this needs to be updated. Sorry guys. Average savings is about 4% right now, not a half. You can get pretty good rates. CD's a lot higher. But you guys, what we target is 13 to 18% returns in a 6-month period. The 13 is going to be east side because it's high demand. As we kind of go into other outskirts, we're targeting 15 to 18%, which ends up being about 30 to 55% return with leverage. So next steps going forward is there's a survey in all your guys' packet. If you guys want to move forward, we're not going to bug you after this class. But if you fill out that survey, we're going to contact you, get you in for a 101 or get going on getting you on the list. We're going to schedule You're gonna get a call from the concierge, get a one-on-one schedule, get you pre-qualified, source of investments. For more information, guys, here's our social media handles. We do lots of free education online, so I'm sure some of you guys know. You're not sick of my voice online already. And then you guys, one thing, on our website, HeatonDainard.com webinars, we have a 4-part series on construction. It's 4 hours. This breaks down job sites, what to look for, your initial walkthroughs. I highly recommend you guys watch this. I spent a long time putting this together. Very good elementary basics for you guys to learn. So, cool. And then we're gonna pass it off to Intrust. They're gonna talk about leverage real quick. Oh, yep.
Sorry, a quick question. What's in it for you guys? Like helping us doing all that? Like what's in it for you?
Well, we make money.
How?
No. So we make money when you buy it on a commission, and then or assignment fee if it's off market.
Okay.
And then we make money when you list and sell the property, and hopefully use interest funding. So we're making money there too. So we do make fees throughout the transaction. But the we're paid dictated on how good the returns are, really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, thank you. So it's always good to know where's your win.
Yeah. No, we're definitely not pro bono.
Yeah.
But cool, you guys. Well, Kyle's gonna talk about leverage, and then we'll all come in and we'll stay and answer questions until you guys are.
It'll be probably short, like 10-minute presentation here. I teach a class just like the one you guys just went through. Started kind of separating it so I don't keep you guys here for like 13 more hours. It is going to be next Wednesday, so it's always Wednesday after Investor 101. So it's in person, it's also online. It's more in depth. It goes into a lot of hard money situations, what other lenders are doing out there. So it's kind of a deep dive. This is going to be an overview. Some of it's repetitive, so I'll kind of skip over that, just answer any questions and get everybody in here. Does anybody have any questions on what hard money is? Or I know James does a pretty good job digging through it already. No questions? Okay. So this is the basics of hard money loans. One thing I always want to point out, first thing is it is a commercial loan. Not that you have to buy commercial property, but it is not a consumer loan. So we cannot do any type of lending against anything that will be your primary residence. So it has to be for the purpose of fix and flip or burr type property. Second thing about hard money is quick, it's just like cash. It's a very easy process. Everyone thinks it's very, very convoluted. It's very simple. I'll show you that in a second. The big thing is how we analyze a property. So a bank loan is always looking at, say you're buying a property right here. A bank's going to give you an as-is value. They're going to base your loan off of it, the appraisal off of it. Hard money lending is opposite. We're looking at what you're buying, but we're doing all our comps and everything of what the future value or the ARV is. So we're always lending against the after repair value. Conventional banks are going to be valuing off the current value. Okay, so we have been in business for 13 years. We are the sister company of Heaton Dainard. However, we do all of our own loans separately as well. So even if you're not going to be buying a Heaton Dainard property, you can use Intrust funding for anything in Washington State. A little bit about us. Again, our company is managed and run by Will Heaton. I think James explained earlier kind of how they split their territories. So everything, all decisions, loan approval, everything is made by Will. Some funds out there have multiple people they have to talk to, they have to bounce the loans off of. Everything is gone through underwriting and put in front of Will Heaton. Will basically looks at if he was going to do this loan himself. Does the project make sense? Does the budget make sense? Does the time frame make sense? And a lot of times with us, you'll get feedback. We try to be very, very quick, but at the same time, Will might say, have they looked into this? The timing of the permit is not going to work with a 6-month loan. So we're going to give you feedback at the same time, whether you like it or not. So it's kind of half educational and half quick funding. We can fund something as little as 48 hours. What I have up here is basically, you're going to look or search hard money, or if you've used hard money before, there are companies that you'll find in Washington State, and a lot of them that are in California, Texas, New York. These are kind of your medium soft money lenders. So they are either brokering your loan to somebody else, so they're not going to be servicing it, or they're actually white labeling that product for a larger bank. With that comes a lot of red tape. Closing times get pushed out maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks plus. Appraisals required, more in-depth underwriting and you guys as a borrower, similar to a conventional loan, tax returns, W-2s, everything like that. So we try to basically, I guess when Will and James created this company, they wanted to take the good, the bad, the ugly, and kind of make a company where it's true investors who are doing these projects every day and lending to other like-minded investors. So we're not using algorithms, we're not using data models, we know what's going on, we understand the area, and that's why we only lend in Washington. Okay, so kind of have this in 2 steps. To get pre-qualified with us, why I recommend it is once you're pre-qualified, myself or Monroe, who's standing at the door back there, can write you a pre-approval letter 7 days a week. You can contact us at any point. Unlike a pre-approval from a bank, we're not giving you your pre-approved up to an amount. We do look at the deal you're going after specifically to make sure it's something that we will fund. But to be pre-approved, we ask for 3 things. Who's going to be on the loan? Basic contact information. So your name, your address, a phone number, and an email. Bank statement or some form of liquidity statement. This can be a bank statement, a business bank statement. It can be a combo of 5 accounts you have. It can be a line of credit. We do not need rolling statements. We do not need a full statement. We need to show a balance and your name. So a screenshot will work. Same thing with a credit report. We look to have a 650 score or higher. It's not a definite no if your score is lower. We will dig in a little bit, but we're simply looking for a screenshot with your score and a name next to it. Once you have that done, you are pre-qualified. It's as simple as that. There's not even an application. The property. If you're buying a Heaton Dainard property, this process has already been done, the underwriting. But if you're going to submit something to us, we're very, very simple. We don't require an appraisal or a BPO. We underwrite everything in-house, and I shouldn't say we never have, but 99.999% we will never drive the property unless it's in some weird area we're unfamiliar with. So we need 15 photos. We've never been there. We need to know what this place looks like right now. So the more photos, the better. Walkthroughs work as well, like a video. If it's on market, typically there's sufficient photos. You never know what you're going to get. So I always tell people if you're walking a property, take your own walk photos. Next thing is the scope of work. For us to underwrite a property, we don't need to actually have the physical scope. You can say, hey, I'm going to put between 100 and 120K into this. I'm still getting bids. What are your thoughts? So at any point, I'm jumping ahead, you can send us a property before you make an offer, whether it's under contract or not, say, what is your perspective? What's your numbers on this? We'll do it for no cost. Last thing we kind of want to know is how long of a loan you want and type of loan, which I'm going to get into. So we are a short-term lender. We don't sell our loans off to anybody. We service them from start to finish. So our max loan term is 12 months. There's no prepayment penalty in any of our loans. You can pay them off the next day if you want. Number one question I always get is, what is your interest rate? It's always 1%, 12% APR. Hasn't changed in 13 years. Only reason I point that out is if you've been investing for a while, in the last couple of years, I can't tell you how many major companies have gone under, how many lenders have stopped lending, how many borrowers have switched to other lenders because they've run out of money. We have not stopped lending even through COVID for 13 years straight. So we haven't changed anything. We don't sell our loans off, so that's why we don't have different APRs that are based on what's going on in the market out there. Okay, so this is just kind of a walkthrough of what I just said. Pre-qualify yourself. You can submit a property if you want. We'll write you a pre-approval to lock it in. Once it's under contract, we'll provide a complimentary deal analysis or underwriting. What that looks like is very similar to what you've been looking at for the last hour. We're going to basically give you a set of comps, what we're using to determine our after repair value. If we're deducting something off of a busy road or something funky about where the property sits, we'll tell you why. We'll give you a flip calculator with the numbers put in that you can play with yourself and calculate. You guys have seen a lot of those today in the bottom left. We'll give you the tax record and everything else. Assignment fees. I know some of you talked about wholesaling and stuff like that. So we will accept an assignment fee. Doesn't matter the number. I know James has paid it $350,000 assignment fee before. A lot of lenders will look at what percentage the assignment fee is versus the deal price. And if the assignment fee percentage is too high, they won't accept that. So what that means is that, you guys, let me first say, does everyone here know what an assignment fee is?
No.
Okay. I'll give you an example. Monroe, I'm going to buy your house for, so Monroe's a person I approach in, and I'm a wholesaler. I want to buy his house, and that'll be whatever, for $800,000. He agrees. And I'm going to turn over to Ryan here. I'm going to say, Ryan, I'm going to sell you this for $850,000. He agrees. The $50,000 is the assignment fee the wholesaler is putting on top of the purchase price. So does that make sense? So what happens if you take that to a lot of lenders, they'll fund the $800,000, but you as the investor have to come out of pocket and pay that $50,000 assignment fee. With us, we simply wrap it in, so it's an $850,000 purchase. So as long as the numbers make sense with the assignment fee, we will always wrap it
You
in.
guys share your spread or not?
What's that?
For your own internal wholesale deals? Are you guys transparent with your spreads or no?
Yeah.
You are, okay. I'm not sure.
I know they are.
They are, okay, yeah.
So I just assumed that's how it was.
Yeah, so double close though, to hide it.
I mean, we've seen crazy assignment fees, split different people, double, I mean, we've seen it all, but I mean, just wanna say, we're
Doesn't
used to
really
this
matter,
because
as long
we've
as
been
it still
funding
makes
all the
sense.
Heaton
Yeah.
Dainard deals and the off-market buy deals for many years now. Okay, so we have two loan types, keep it very simple. We have a standard loan and a rehab loan. If you guys remember all the performas that you were looking at before, the far left category was the standard loan, the rehab was the middle, the cash was on the right. Standard loan, not used as much. It is basically, could be called a bridge loan, a couple different names. It is us doing the loan after your down payment, but you as the investor paying for the rehab. Couple things. If the rehab is small, 20, 30, 40 grand and you're liquid, it's a good situation how to leverage your money, use us for the purchase, pay for rehab out of pocket. But most people do lean towards the bigger leverage of the rehab loan. Couple things here. We offer, except for our 12-month loan, I'll get that in a second. Any loan below 12 months, we have 2 automatic extensions that are built into the loan. The reason why I say that's important is probably the last 2 years we've had 50 people call us that their lender will not extend their loan. Most lenders, it's up to their ownership or principals to decide when the loan is due, if they're going to extend it. As long as you are current on payments, we will extend your loan up to 3 more months. It does cost to extend it, it's nothing out of pocket, it gets added on to the payoff. Just kind of peace of mind, 12 months, that clause is deducted or redacted from our loan agreements because we won't go beyond that. Now, if you're up for extensions, if you're up for the note maturity, get this all the time, we're not going to just immediately call the note due more than likely. We're going to try to work with you to figure out, can you refi somewhere else? Can we refi you again? Is the house listed and maybe it needs a little bit more time? So again, you're not up against the gun to pay us off immediately in most situations. So our down payment. So we have this little thing here. So probably the last 5-6 years, we've been lending in Eastern Washington. Our down payment minimums are higher in Eastern Washington than they are in Western. That's solely due to Will's comfortability of knowing Western Washington like the back of his hand. We do a ton of business in Eastern Washington, but typically, at least for first-time people, we start that at 20%. But for up here, we range between 15 and 20%. Where that is derived from is not you as a borrower, your track history, your credit score, it is the deal itself. So we will lend up to 70% of what we deem the after repair value plus our fees, which I'm going to go over in a second. So bigger spread, lower down payment. Tighter numbers might need 18%, 20%. I will always push for the lowest down payment. Something to think about that most people don't. The more you put down on a hard money loan, the less fees you pay and the lower interest you pay. The least you put down, the company makes more money. Because the fees are typically charged on the loan amount after your down payment, and then your monthly fee is based on the total loan amount. So something to think about there. So when I was talking about fees, one of the unique things about us is that we roll all of our fees into the loan. So if you're out talking to people and they're like, oh, I can do 10% down or 15% down, that might actually cost you 15 to 20%. So here's a scenario. $500,000 loan, say we need 20% down for easy math, $100,000. Brings you to a $400,000 loan amount. 2 points is $8,000 or 2% of the loan amount. In most situations with lenders, they're going to want you to pay the $100,000 down to escrow, plus the $8,000 will be also added to that settlement statement. They want all their fees up front. We're simply rolling all this in, so you're at a $408,000 loan amount. We're trying to have the lesser money out of your pocket. Did that confuse anybody with that? Am I skipping anything around? I'm trying to go fast here. So our draws. I know James talked about this a little bit earlier. Our biggest benefit, other than no appraisal, all fees rolled in, is our draw process. So we will advance the first draw basically as soon as the recording numbers come in. So it's usually the day afterwards. So before you've even set foot on the property, we'll advance typically max of 25% of the budget. There are some case by case. We don't require any inspections. That's been one of our biggest benefits over the years, meaning that when you need further draws on your project, you don't have to, one, call us and we send out an inspector, hire your own home inspector, have them come out and verify the work, wait for them to call the lender back, tell them everything's okay, process your payment to get paid back. So what typically happens with most companies, if you fund your loan, you need to come out of pocket for the first 25%, then they reimburse you after inspection. With Intrust, jump ahead here, let's use this, it's $125,000 rehab. Property funds today, tomorrow we wire you, for example, say $25,000. Second draw is available when you're at 32%, third draw at 48%, 64, 80, and 100. What happens in between is when you're ready for your next draw, we give you a dedicated portfolio manager. His name is Sean Johnsrud. He's been doing this for about 30 years. You're going to communicate directly with him. So you can set up how many draws you want, minimum 3, maximum whatever you want. You're going to use a link he provides you. You simply upload 15 progress photos. So what Sean's looking at is here's the original set of photos. Here's your budget. I've given you, say, $25,000. Here's your new photos for draw number 2. What work have you completed so far using the money we've given you? He reviews those, wires you the money, you continue with the process. So we try to keep it very, very simple that you control the velocity of your rehab and the draws, and you're not being held up paying extra interest waiting on home inspectors, delays, and things like that. And then again, you're communicating with someone who also understands and has done many of these projects. So it's not like it's just someone sitting behind a desk checking a box. I'm going to skip through all this because you guys seen a million performance tonight. These are just past projects, before, after type stuff. And I will end it and bring everybody back in. Yes, sir.
2 questions. First question, can you confirm we only pay interest on the drawn amount?
No, we charge it from day one, the full amount.
Got it. So
It's a great
even,
question.
okay. And
There are some case by case on bigger draws that we will do it that way, but 99% of our loans are, we don't do a second, we just do a construction holdback, so it's one loan amount and the interest starts from day one.
yes, okay. And to pre-qualify the person, do you also pre-qualify LLCs or companies?
So the vesting is completely up to you. So we're just pre-qualifying whoever the individual is on it. If you want to invest in an LLC, we need a copy of the operating agreement. Anybody that has over 20% interest on that LLC we need to have a copy of their credit score, and you guys can share liquidity, but we need to actually have their mailing address, their basic information.
Is there any problem if the LLC is brand new, like formed in 2023?
No, we see brand new stuff all the time.
Okay.
That's pretty common because people set up LLCs per property sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
And again, if you're a sole member, you don't have to have an operating agreement. If you have more than one member, you do. Escrow will have you sign like a disclosure that you're a sole member.
Yeah.
It's probably better to have an operating agreement put together than have too expensive to do. I can walk you through that.
Yeah, so we did a deal
Yeah, we
together.
just did a deal last
Yeah, we have
week.
there's 3 partners, so I'm like the manager.
Yeah.
But the other 2, we all have 33%
And
equity
one's
in the
not here in the
business.
States.
No, yeah, he's in Texas, so, but they still need to sign a personal guarantee, but, yeah, they don't even need, it doesn't even need to be notarized. It needs a wet signature.
How long is
Yeah,
the
that's
operating
easy.
agreement? Is it lengthy or is it pretty?
4 or 5 pages.
It's pretty short.
They're templated online, like for LegalZoom or those places you can do them. You can try a better route.
Most people use boilerplate templates for flips. And I think that's okay. If you're ever doing like a different type of, like a partner, like, or if you're doing more than one with somebody, I would dial in that operating agreement pretty tight. Another thing you guys can do too, depending on what people are signing, like they can do a joint venture at that point too, right?
Just kind of did one the other day.
Yeah, so there's other ways to do it too. But,
More questions, sorry. Do you work with investors who come in with their own deals? So let's say I found an off-market property that I want to invest in. Can we plug that into your process?
Yes, you can, the lending for sure, and then with the brokerage, yes, as long as we're getting the listing.
Yeah.
With
all the like hand holding for the fix and flip and so on.
Yep, yeah, as long as we're getting there, we try not to, because it's a lot, but yes, we will.
Okay.
Yeah, only if we're building like a longer term relationship, yeah.
Okay.
That's how we used to do it a lot, because people would buy the auctions in 2008-9.
Yeah.
They buy these houses and they didn't know what they're doing, so that's actually how we used to get a lot of listings. Like, all right, we're gonna help you fix it, and they're like, cool, done, do it, and that's actually how we built the whole brand.
Yeah.
But-
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So any more questions, guys? So we're gonna hang out here. I mean, it can be as many questions. We have a slew of salespeople back there. And then we'll kind of hang out and answer questions. Oh, it's the anniversary.
Okay. I want to make, I know Gary works with him.
Yeah, no, great.
Yeah.
Jen's here.
Okay.
Love Jen.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you guys, so going forward, if you want to get more information, just fill out your questionnaire, and then Max or concierge will reach out to you, and then we'll kind of get going from there. We have some other things that will be coming out this year. We're doing some cool, like, we're gonna do like some bus tour stuff, where we're driving people around job sites. So a lot of cool educational stuff rolling out in the next 12 months. And then we're gonna be doing quarterly meetups.
Oh, yeah, if you're looking to get
Bus tour, like a private event.
I really don't, so I think the contracts we're talking about. Yeah, those yeah, you can help.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
partner with them.
She lives up here. She lives in Queen Anne. But
I love Queen Anne,
yeah.
I went to
Oh, you
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I love Queen Anne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah,
Well, I'm here, obviously.